Hi guys, Natalie Willis here from the Baby Sleep Trainer. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how to re-sleep train your baby. Before we get into the how to re-sleep train your baby, let's talk about how you got here in the first place. We could go through all of the different situations in which children typically need to be re-sleep trained, which I'll just touch on briefly. Teething, perceived teething, illness, travel. I don't know why my kids started waking up, they did, but now they need me to go to sleep at bedtime, on and on and on. But I wanna reframe this conversation. What all of this means when you need to re-sleep train a baby. First of all, we need to define sleep training. Sleep training is when your child knows how to go down flat on their back with their eyes open, completely awake, and they can go from that state to being asleep without your interaction, without your assistance, and without any objects. If a child can do that for all of their naps and at bedtime, and they sleep through the night, because when they wake up at night, they put themselves back to sleep, then that child is sleep trained. This means they are an independent sleeper. So if your child has been an independent sleeper, and then an event occurs where their sleep is disrupted, and you elect to respond to that disruption with renewed assistance to sleep, that is when your child will need to be re-sleep trained. Oftentimes I will read online, parents complain and say sleep training doesn't work, or it works until. My child got a tooth and now they're up all night again, and it's like they were never even sleep trained. What that parent is actually saying is this event occurred and I chose to start helping my child fall asleep again. Now my child is unwilling to sleep on their own. Now, two things to keep in mind. First, the sooner you re-sleep train, the faster it's going to be. A good way to think about this is that your child is on a path where they're an independent sleeper, and then they deviate from the path for whatever reason with assistance to sleep, and the longer you let them get off that path, the longer you continue to assist them to sleep, the longer it might take for them to get back on track. This is especially true for older children. The older they are, the more vociferously they're going to fight the process. Now, how do we re-sleep train? I would encourage you to think back to whatever method you used initially to sleep train your child, revisit that and implement that training again. It's actually very straightforward. There's a variety of methods you can use. I'm partial to the baby sleep trainer method myself, of course. I've developed this method after working with thousands and thousands of families for thousands and thousands of hours. And I always tell my clients, the very last thing I tell them is how to not have to sleep train again. If you want to avoid having to continue to re-sleep train your child, try to make a decision ahead of time that whatever is disrupting their sleep is not going to trigger you assisting them to sleep. Let's take your child being ill. I would recommend that if your child at any time wakes up overnight or for their naps and you're not sure, not 100% certain that they are healthy and safe, go to them immediately. Pick them up, check on them. Try to identify what's wrong. If you can identify what's wrong, or think of it in terms of like trying to identify the thing that is physically keeping your child from sleeping, address that, right? If you call your doctor hotline in the middle of the night and they say, yeah, you need to give Tommy some Tylenol or Advil, you do that. Or if you know they're having some sort of skin event and the doctor's already given you medicine to put on the skin event, or whatever is going on that you can address and you can help. Maybe your child needs you to suction out their nose, whatever it is, address that issue to the best of your ability. And then when you know it's time for your child to go back to sleep, because it's really what they should be doing overnight is sleeping, put them back down awake and leave the room, observe them through the monitor, ensure that they are safe, even if they're protesting falling asleep, as long as they're safe, allow them to fall back to sleep on their own. And the instant they are asleep, enter the room and sleep with them in the room. Sleep on a mat, on the floor, or on an air mattress. Bring them into your room in a pack and play or a crib if you have one, and have them sleep in your room, and always room share with them when they are ill. But try, as long as your pediatrician approves, and make sure that they do, always try to allow them to fall asleep independently. Same thing goes for naps during the day. If you think your child is sick that need to be off their schedule and nap more than normal, great, let them do that, but let them fall asleep on their own. If that is always your primary focus, is protecting your child's ability to fall asleep independently, it's unlikely that you will sort of inadvertently get into a situation where you need to re-sleep train. And no matter how hard you try, there are going to be times in your child's life where you assist them to sleep. It's just going to happen. So expect that only one instance of assisted sleep is going to trigger retraining. It can usually take just one time, maybe two times, before your child starts to desire that assistance to sleep overnight, for the onset of their naps, at bedtime, all the time. So if you elect to assist your child to sleep, you should have the expectation that the next time you put them down awake and expect them to fall asleep on their own, that they will protest that. And how will you deal with that protest? Will you return to the methodology that you used the first time you sleep trained your child? child and do whatever that methodology says until they fall asleep on their own? Or will you respond to that wake up with assistance to sleep as well? It's really binary, one or the other. If you've gotten off track because they are ill and you're assisting them to sleep, wait for them to be completely better, 100% symptom-free, cleared as healthy by the pediatrician, no symptoms for at least 48 hours before you revisit any kind of sleep training. If you like what you're hearing and it resonates with you, please subscribe and hit the little bell so that you get notifications, and I will see you next time.